Hi, welcome to the Walking Word. My name is Annie, where we go through the Holy Bible in a year. In the Walking Word, it is just the discipline to read the Bible every day. And mine is just to give some commentary, to share some revelations, but the discipline ultimately comes from you. We have just finished the book of Joshua. We're now in the book of Judges. Now, Judges is an interesting book because the whole book is about after the death of Joshua, the leaders, the military leaders, sort of took position as judges. And the beauty about the book of Judges, God's nature is revealing himself. If you obey him about the laws, right? If you obey him, then you have deliverance and you conquer your enemies. If you disobey him, then there's oppression from those pagan nations and from your enemies. So we see God's nature really manifesting in the book of Judges. And we'll come across a couple of judges. These are guys who led, they headed Israel, maybe not in its entirety as an individual, but they were the transition between Israel being, led by Joshua and Moses, and they were the transition as Israel was moving towards a monarchy. Yeah. So here we'll meet Othniel, we'll meet Barak, we'll meet Samson, I remember Simeon, I believe. Then later on, but these two interesting judges, whom their story is very powerful, Eli and Samuel, their story comes after the book of Ruth. Their story comes in First and Second Samuel, is where we'll hear of their story more and their adventures with God more. But here we'll sort of go through um, the other judges. Will also come, if you've ever heard of Gideon, he doubted himself so much, but God removed him from a family of pagan worship and used him, to judge Israel and lead Israelites into battle. So we'll also get to see that in the book of Judges. So what is Judges basically? It's a book, it's the leadership transition from Joshua and Moses into the monarchy. And it is a book about the revelation of God as a judge. When you do good, how good follows you. When you go against his law, how that also follows you, how the consequences of that also follows you. So we're in Joshua chapter 1, and this is about Palestine and the pagan survivors that remained. After the death of Joshua, the Israelites consulted the Lord, asking, Who shall be first among us to attack the Canaanites and to do battle with them? The Lord answered, Judah shall attack. Judah always first. I have delivered the land into his power. Judah then said to his brother Simeon, Come up with me into the territory allotted to me, and let us engage the Canaanites in battle. I will likewise accompany you into the territory allotted to you. So Simeon went with him. Okay, so the tribe of Judah went into battle and they were supported by the tribe of Simeon. When the forces of Judah attacked, the Lord delivered the Canaanites and the Perizzites into their power, and they slew 10,000 of them in Bezek. It was in Bezek that they came upon Adonibezek and fought against him. When they defeated the Canaanites and Perizzites, Adonibezek fled. So this must have been their king or their leader. They set out in pursuit, and when they caught him, cut off his thumbs and his big toes. Ooh. At this, Adonibezek said, 70 kings with their thumbs and big toes cut off used to pick up scraps under my table. As I have done, so has God repaid me. He was brought to Jerusalem, and there he died. So Adonibezek, one of the things he used to do to his slaves and anyone he ever conquered, he used to also do the same thing. He used to cut off their thumbs and their big toes. And interestingly, and this is how you see the hand of God in it, when Israel captured him, they did the exact same thing, meaning God does not forget when you shed blood. As I have done, so has God repaid me. He was brought to Jerusalem, and there he died. The Judahites fought fought against Jerusalem and captured it, putting it to the sword. Then they destroyed the city by fire. Afterwards, the Judahites went down to fight against the Canaanites who lived in the mountain region, in the Negeb, in the foothills. Judah also marched against the Canaanites who dwelt in Hebron, which war formerly called Kiriath Arba, and defeated Shenai, Ahiman, and Talmai. From there they marched against the inhabitants of Debir, which was formerly called Kiriath Sefer. And Caleb said, I will give my daughter Aksha in marriage to the one who attacks Kiriath Sefer and captures it. Othniel, do you remember we said we'll see the story of Othniel later? This is when Caleb said, whoever wins this battle, I'll give my daughter in marriage. And Othniel, son of Caleb's younger brother, Kenaz, captured it. So Caleb gave him his daughter, Aksah, in marriage. On the day of her marriage to Othniel, she induced him to ask her father for some land. Remember when she was coming down the chariot on her wedding day, and her dad was like, why are you sad? And she was like, I want more land. Such a daughter. Then as she alighted from the ass, Caleb asked her, what is troubling you? So the Bible is reiterating the story so that we remember, right? What is troubling? Give me an additional gift, she answered. Since you have assigned land in the Negeb to me, give me also the pools of water. So Caleb gave her the upper and the lower pool. The descendants of the Kenite, Moses' father-in-law, came up with the Judahites from the city of palms to the desert of Arad, which is the Negeb. But they left and settled amongst the Amalekites. So you remember Moses' father-in-law, and he married his daughter, of course, Zipporah. And they had lived with the Israelites for a while, but at some point they separated, and so they went to live with the Amalekites. Let's continue. But later they went and settled amongst the Amalekites. Judah then went with his brother Simeon, and they defeated the Canaanites who dwelt in Zephath. After having doomed the city and destroyed it, they renamed it Hormah. Judah, however, did not occupy Gaza with its territory, Ashkelon with its territory, and Ekron with its territory. Since the Lord was with Judah, he gained possession of the mountain region, yet he could not dislodge those who lived in the plain, because they had iron chariots. As Moses had commanded, Hebron was given to Caleb, who then drove from it the 3 sons of Anak, the Anakites. The Benjamites did not dislodge the Jebusites who dwelt in Jerusalem, with the result that the Jebusites live in Jerusalem beside the Benjamites to this day. The house of Joseph too marched up against Bethel. What is the house of Joseph? That's Ephraim and Manasseh. And the Lord was with them. The house of Joseph has a reconnaissance made at Bethel, which formerly was called Luz. The scouts saw a man coming out of the city and said to him, show us the way into the city, and we will spare you. He showed them a way into the city, which they put to the sword, but they left the man and his whole clan to go free. He then went to the land of the Hittites. There he built a city and called it Luz, as it's still called today. Manasseh did not take possession of Beth Shean with its towns, or of Tanakh with its towns. Neither did he dislodge the inhabitants of Dor and its towns, those of Ibleam and its towns, or those of Megiddo and its towns. The Canaanites kept their hold in the district. When the Israelites grew stronger, they impressed the Canaanites as laborers, but did not drive them out. Similarly, the Ephraimites did not drive out the Canaanites living in Gezer, and so the Canaanites live in Gezer in their midst. Zebulun did not dislodge the inhabitants of Kitron or those of Nahalol. The Canaanites live among them, but have become forced laborers. Nor did Asher drive out the inhabitants of Achor or those of Sidon, or take possession of Mahaleb, Akzib, Helba, Afik, or Rehob. The Asherites live among the Canaanites, natives of the land, whom they have not dislodged. Naphtali did not drive out the inhabitants of Beth Shemesh or those of Beth Anath, and so they live among the Canaanite natives of the land. However, the inhabitants of Beth Shemesh and Beth Anath have become forced laborers for them. The Amorites hemmed in the Danites in the mountain region, not permitting them to go down into the plain. The Amorites had a firm hold in Hareres, Aijalon, and Shalbin. But as the house of Joseph gained the upper hand, they were impressed as laborers. The territory of the Amorites extended from the Akrabim pass to Selah and beyond. Okay. In chapter 2, we see the Israelites become are just being unfaithful to God in the next chapter.